Hello, everybody. My name is Duke Dhorvos, the Duke of Dhorvos. A pleasure to meet you. I've been asked to do this card review for a set of new cards for the Cosmic Creation expansion, and I won't let you down. First of all, It That Stares. Direct relation to She Who Wanders, or It Who Wanders, something like that. Play, obliterate all landmarks, or deal 2 to all other units. Very good if new landmarks are introduced, which they are. And also very good for a board wipe. Has a very similar feel to is if an 8/8 was combined with an avalanche. It seems like a very solid card. Good late game potential. Though I'm not sure if the 2 damage to everything will be helpful enough late in the game. We'll just see. The landmark removal, I believe, would be exquisite. Continuing. We see this is the 2 damage to everything effect. It That Stares. Next up is the Scar Grounds. The Scar Grounds is a landmark for Freljord, another one. When an ally survives damage, grant it +1 health and tough. Oh, grant? That's granting, my word! This makes that the horrid, butchering Vladimir survival damage yourself deck a lot more intimidating all of a sudden. Imagine all of the things that get hurt, all the Scar Mothers, all the Blood Seekers, what are they called? The Crimson Disciples and things like that. The Fabulous, my dear! All of those cards. Imagine those all get tough and bonus attack. It's like that card, the 4/5 epic card, you know, the one that gives everything +1 attack. When they survive, it's like that, but now it does that and gives tough. Very good card. Tough, it'd be fantastic. You can keep pinging your own things over and over and over and over with all this damage. Think of Vladimir's ability. You can hit his entire board and they take nothing. Fantastic. I think this will be a card that will put the Vladimir survival archetype back into the meta. Fantastic landmark. Next we have the Monastery of Harana. Beautiful. It's an Ionian landmark, the first of its kind. That's important. Pay attention, children. Create a sanctuary in hand. Now, what does a sanctuary, you may ask? Well, a sanctuary, they really just keep changing the positions on cards and it makes it very annoying. But sanctuary, 1 mana burst speed spell, can very easily resummon the likes of a Rekindler if you're playing with Shadow Isles. Or maybe it can resummon a Shadow Assassin to draw you more cards. It's a decent card, and I think the landmark will be decent, but I believe there needs to be more added to the recall mechanic and the recall archetype before this really comes into focus. Let's move on. Oh my, next we have a house. Homecoming. Looks like Teemo Shrooms on that home. Recall an ally unit or landmark to recall an enemy unit or landmark. So very similar to like a crumble type of effect, except for whereas with crumble you're killing something to kill something else. Now you're recalling something to recall something else. It's much less committal in a way, because you're not killing your own thing, you're just recalling it. But that means the same thing against them. Less committal to destroy their board. They can resummon it. It seems easily disruptible, and for 5 mana, I'm not quite sure I agree with it. It could be very useful against landmarks such as the Soraka Kench landmark, whereas putting it back in the hand removes all of its healing that's been stacked up. But I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it is the same speed also as Will of Ionia, and I think Will of Ionia is honestly just a better version of this. Next up, we have Wiggly Burblefish. This is like in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Gerblefish you put in your ear so you can understand everything. Babelfish. Burblefish? Something like that. The Wiggly Burblefish. Reduce my cost by 1 for each spell you cast this game. When I'm summoned, create a 1-cost spell from the regions in your hand. So similar effect to a Bridgewater card we have seen before with the creating spells, but the reducing my cost is interesting. This is a 6 mana, 3/1 elusive, but if you play this in something like a Fizz deck, for example, this is the first thing I'm thinking of, Fizz deck, or a Teemo deck, you can drop this, play lots of little spells, you can drop this all the way down to say like 2 mana, and a 3/1 elusive for 2 mana? Fantastic. For 1 mana? Unbelievable. For 0 mana? That's impressive. This could be very good in combo decks with like a Lee Sin. Maybe you have a Lee Sin Fizz elusive combo deck kind of thing going on. I really like this card. It's not overly powered. It does require ramp to get it to its powerful state. You can't initially. It's not really good for aggro decks. You have to build up a little more to play it. But it could be used as a finisher. I really like it. I enjoyed it. Its card art is also absolutely adorable. Moving on. Lastly, in this little array of cards that we've received, we have the Boom Ship. Slow, deal 1 to a unit, then summon powder kegs equal to the amount of damage dealt. I quite like this. You combine this with something which boosts the Boom Ship's damage, anything like even another keg to boost its damage. Or the card that recently got buffed, the Piltover one that gives 1 damage to everything. Or maybe with the Gangplank Ship that could boost damage. Anything really, if you can get this damage up, if you can get it to even 2 damage, deal 2 damage for 3 mana for slow is pretty bad. But then summoning 2 powder kegs on top of that will allow your next spell to do 2 more. Think of each powder keg as like a deal 1 extra damage, so probably about 1 mana's worth, if you will. Then, as soon as you get this to do 2 damage, this Boom Ship is generating you technically 4 mana worth of value, which could even be more than 4 mana worth of value, I'd say, because the powder kegs can be used on likes of Withering Rail. Withering Rail, if you use a Boom Ship for 2 damage, you say you keg on the board, your Boom Ship, you now have 2 kegs on the board because your Boom Ship did 2, and now your next Withering Rail will do 3 damage to everything. I think this is very solid for keg control, and I'm very excited to see all the combos that people can pull off, which is generating crazy amounts of kegs. This could potentially be good in a one-shot deck too. Just saying, if you can use this to generate enough kegs, you might be able to Ladros one-shot somebody. Be interesting. Or maybe a Gangplank one-shot. I'm very interested in this card. I love the concept of kegs. They're explosive, the fireworks, the pizzazz. But anyway, that's it for this little card rundown. If you like listening to my soothing voice, be sure you mention that you'd prefer dhorvos over any of the other silly people commenting on this channel. Until the next time, subscribe to hobbitsizz. Toodaloo.